Alright, welcome once again to the Ultimate InDesign Beginner to Advanced course. In the previous lesson, we learned how to design or create a new InDesign document. And in this lesson, we want to learn about the tools and workspace of InDesign. So, let's start with the tools that we see over here. Now we have the selection tool over here. Shortcut, you can use Vin or Escape. So it's basically used in selecting anything. Okay, so you can just click on it, left click on it, and just select it. So that's the selection tool. And we have the direct selection tool. A direct selection tool is selecting, like for instance, this is an image. Okay, when I use a direct tool, this is an image, and the image you can see from here is the frame of the image. And if I want to directly select this image, I'll just come to there is a circle over here, a transparent white circle here, but since I'm recording the video, it won't show. But there's a white circle over here that shows anytime you take the direct selection tool. So when you see this hand tool, you click somewhere in the middle, and you see this hand tool over here, click in the middle directly. When you see the yellow signs over here or the yellow borders over here, it means you have selected directly the image, and you can decrease the size or either increase the size. So let's see if when I decide to bring it, this is the frame of the image, the frame itself of this image. This is the frame of it. So if I decide to select the frame, unless I come to the selection tool, and I have to select the frame from here directly from the blue line over here. I have to select it from here, and I can decrease the frame to suit the image over here. Okay, so that's it. And if I don't want to come down to the direct selection tool and click on it and come and select the image itself, I can just use the selection tool and come to the middle here and then click on it. It will select directly the image for me. So I've selected the image itself. The borders of the image is the blue lines you see over here. So I've selected the image itself. So let's see what happens if I decide to stretch the image. Now if I stretch the image, you've seen that it has some part of the image is not showing, because what happened is I have done what? I have extended it above the frame. That's the blue lines. I've extended it above the frame. So if I want the other portion to show, then I have to extend the frame itself of the image. I have to extend it. Then you see that now it is showing. So I can come to the middle here and click and select the image itself, or I can come and use the direct selection tool and select the image itself. So I prefer using this one, and I'll select the image itself, and then now I can also do what? Decrease the size of it. Decrease the size of the image. Okay, then if I want to decrease the border too, I'll click on the frame of the image, and I'll do what? Also decrease it. So that's the selection tool. This tool is basically the yellow one you see here. When you click on it, maybe you want to edit the corners of it, you want to round the corners, you can click on it and then left drag it here to see what it has rounded the corners of it. Okay, so if you want to send it back, then you also drag it back to also stop the corners. Now when you want to also, let's say, drag only one corner, then you have to hold shift, and then only one corner will be rounded. So that's it. So this is the selection tool and direct selection tool. We have the next tool is the page tool. The page tool helps us to change the page settings. So now the page is letter, you can change it to A4. You've seen that it has changed. You can also increase or decrease the weight with the page tool over here, and also we can change some things here, show the master page. So right now this is the page I'm using, so it is a master page. So when I click on this, it will show the overlay of the master page. Okay, so there are other things that we will learn as time goes on. Now we have the gap tool. So gap tool is basically like the same as let's say the selection tool, or you want to reduce the size of it. So the gap tool, you can see there's a gap here. When I click on it, then I'll close the gap. So there's a gap here. When I click on it, and I'll do what? I'll close the gap. So that's the also the gap tool. Or I can add it something to it, or I can decrease it. So that's what the gap tool does. And you also have the content collector tool. What the content collector tool does is like copy and paste version of the InDesign. So if you are working with multiple pages, it is good to use the what we call the collector tool. It is good to use it. So now if I don't want to be copying and pasting this image, copying and pasting this image, copying and pasting this image, what I'll do is that I'll select the collector tool over here, content collector tool, and what I'll do is I'll just click on it and it will bring it over here. So it has saved it for me to use it in my other files or documents. So when I also click on this, it will also add it. And now after adding it, I'll just cancel it. And when I want to bring it to this page, I'll just right click here and select the content placer tool, and you see it places it here for me, and also can also place this here for me. Yeah, so that's it. That's what it does. That's what it does. Okay, so that's also the content collector tool and the content placer tool. Now you also have the text tool. In InDesign, when you want to write a text, you just have to, when you click once, you cannot write a text unless you create a box like this, a frame for it. Then you can now begin to write a text. Okay, you can now begin to write a text. Now your text, maybe you are designing a template. What you have to do is you just, after creating the box for your text, right click over here and fill with placeholder text. Simple. Because when you're designing a template, it's not about writing or filling it with true words. You just have to use the what we call the fill with the placeholder text. Now we also have the line tool over here. The line tool is also like creating a line, so you can change the sizes. You can increase the sizes with this one. Okay, or you can change it to tick or any of these strokes that you see over here. That's what the line tool does. So when you want to, as you use Photoshop, the settings, when you want to create a straight line, you just have to hold on shift and just drag it to create a straight line. So that's what the line tool also does. Now we have the pen tool. You have the pen tool over here. So the pen tool, you can also create a shape with the pen tool. You can create a shape with the pen tool, and then you close it over here, and it creates a shape. Now if I want to, let's say, fill it, I'll just select it, select the line over here, and I can come to the color swatches over here, and I'll click on this and fill it over here. So when I want the stroke, I'll just click on it and will select the stroke, and I can add a stroke to it. Okay, and if I want to increase the stroke, I can use this thing, or I can come here to the stroke tool here and increase the stroke. Okay, yeah. So if you are not seeing these things, this thing is the, when you come to window, the control tool over here, the control window here, you see when I deselect it, it's gone. So when you don't see it, you come to the window and click on the controls and it will appear back. And also when you come to window, you can select from what I've selected here. You can select yours as such. So I already have my stroke here, which is here. So you can also select the stroke and place it somewhere here. And links, you can also select them and place them. I already have it over here. Layers, you can also select it and place it over here, and other things. Okay, so now We also have the next two. Let's go to the next two. So with the pen tool, we have the convert direction point tool. So let me click on the image first. Come and click this. So when I use the convert direction point tool, I can convert any shape. I can change any shape. So when I click over here, I can change the shape of this thing. Okay, so and I can also use the add anchor point to add more anchor point. When I double click it, it will add more anchor point to it, and I can edit it. When you click it once, it also add more anchor point to it, and you can do what, edit it. I can also use the delete anchor point to delete points from here, and that's what the pen tool also does. So now let's move on to the pencil tool. Now the pencil tool works as a normal pencil. So you can just come here, and let's say I want to draw this. Okay, so it means I've drawn something here. It is like a stroke, so I can increase the stroke. Let me select it and increase the stroke of it, so I can increase it. Okay, so it's increasing. Now this stroke, I can also place a text on the stroke. I can come here to the type text and right click it and type on a path or stroke. Let's go to this one first. So this pencil here, I can decide to smoothen it. So when I use the smooth tool, and I come here and like draw over it again, and it will smoothen it for me. So it will smoothen it for me. So that's what the smooth tool also does. When I click on it again, then it will smoothen it for you. Now I can also place a text on this path. So I'll just come here and select on a type on a path, and I'll click on it. I'll click on the path, and I will just type text on it. So I'll just type text on it. And now if I don't need this anymore, I'll just come here to the stroke over here, stroke to use this, and what I'll do is I will just set it to none, and you see that it has disappeared because I no longer need the path again. It is only what you call the letters or the words over here that I need. So that's it. So let's go ahead and add more pages so that you can get this is the pages window. So I want to add more pages in order for me to get a place to make more explain the tools. We also have the rectangular frame tool. The rectangular frame tool is basically used to add images. Okay, it's the same as this one, but when you want to add images, we mostly use the rectangular shape tool. Of course, we can add images to the rectangular tool, but this one, it is automatically, it comes with no color, but no fill. But this one, when you click on it, it comes with a fill and what you call a stroke. So this one, you can add the fill and stroke yourself, but automatically there's no fill or stroke. Okay, so that's what the rectangular frame tool does here. It's basically used in adding images, and you can also distort the parts of it. Now let's move on to the next tool. Let's add what you call let's add a color to it. So let's turn up the stroke to set it to none, and you can use the swatches over here, and you click on this and add black to the rectangle over here. Now with the rectangle over here, that's the rectangular tool. This is also the scissors tool. So now with the rectangular tool selected, I can use the scissors tool to cut it. Okay, I can use the scissors tool to cut it. For instance, I can just click on edit place here, and I'll just drag it and use the scissors to to cut it. Okay, so it has cut it. Now I can also draw a circle. I can also draw a circle, and I also cut it by the use of the scissors too. So when you right click over here and you click on the ellipse tool, it will allow you to create a circle. Okay, so creating a circle, when you want to create a circle, for instance, when you click on shift, it will let you create a straight circle or a circle without any distortion. And now when you click on alt, the alt will allow you to create on the anchor, like where I've clicked. I'll create a circle from the anchor where I've clicked over here. Okay, so I'll create a circle from there. And when I want to create a perfect circle, and also at this anchor, I'll just click on what you call the shift and alt key, and it will create a perfect circle at where I want it to be, which is this place, the anchor to be here. Now let's add stroke to the circle. You have to click on the lines, either you won't be able to select it. So let's add more strokes to it. So come here and add the strokes, or I can come here to the stroke tool, as I said, the stroke window, and add some of the strokes to it. Okay, so now let's deselect it. Now, so when you want to use the scissors tool with the stroke selected or the circle selected, can come here and click on any place. Let's see, I click on this, and I can come here and also click on any place over here. Okay, and now I'll use the direction tool. So what I did is that I've cut the place. I've cut the place here and here, so I can use the direct selection tool or a selection tool to remove that portion from it. So that's what the scissors also does. That's what the scissors does. So you have the scale tool, and the scale tool is also for scaling. That's scaling. Okay, that's the scaling. So the other tools under it, the other tools under it that you can also use. You have the share tool, it won't be used. You also have the free transform tool, also for scaling and other things. Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the gradient tool. The gradient tool. Now let's say, let me draw a rectangle over here, and let me fill it with black. So let me set the stroke to none and the fill to black. Okay, so now we want to add a gradient to it. And with the rectangle selected, this is the gradient to swatch to. You can click on it and let's say do this, and it will add gradient to it. Or now we want to add our own gradient to it, so I'll double click it and come to this place and double click over here. And now when I want to add a yellow and green color, and I'll click here and double click over here and come and add a yellow color and click on OK. Then when I also want to add green to this place, also double click on this and double click over here, and I can also add green to it. Click on OK. So I've added yellow and green to it. So with this same process, you can also add gradients to the stroke. Over here. Then you set the stroke and also follow the same process and add strokes to it as well. So now let's move on to the feather tool. The feather tool is like you want to add some transparency between two layers, or the background and the image itself. Now if I have this image and I want to add let's say write something over here, I have to use the gradient feather tool so that I can get it and write something, or maybe I want to let it blend with the background. With the gradient tool selected, First I have to click on this and select it, and with the gradient feather tool selected, I can just click here and drag it, and you see that it has added some gradient to it. Okay, okay, yeah, I'm sure you can see it. Now we will deal with this more when we are doing the sports flyer, and we look at. Okay, so let's look at the notes too. Now with the text selected, you can just click over here, and maybe I want to save this note as research. I want to save it as research. I can just save it as research and just click here to cancel it. Now if I want to see whether it is saved, you see this shape over here. When I remove it, you can see there's a shape over there. Okay, you want to click on it, it means then you see that this note has been saved as was research. So that's how the research tool also work. You just click anywhere here and it will appear here, and you just save it as maybe anything you want and just cancel it, and you come back here, it will show you that it has been saved, unknown username, blah blah blah. When I click on it, it will also show for you to do what. Yeah, so now let's look at the eyedropper tool. The next tool is the eyedropper tool. So the eyedropper tool, you can just pick any color from here. So with your image selected, when I select this, I can just click on the eyedropper tool and pick any color from here, and I can use it on any shape that I want. It will change instantly. It will change instantly. Okay, so if I want to remove the color, I'll come and click on the eyedropper tool again, and I'll come and click maybe this color, and it will change. As you can see, it will change. So that's the eyedropper tool. We also have the, when you right click on the eyedropper tool, you have the color theme tool. So with that one, when you click on anything, like for instance this, it will show me the colors that these textiles are made of, and I can just left click on it and drop it here, and the color will change. Left click on it and drop it here, and I can even add this. I can save this theme and add it to my swatches by clicking here, and it will be added to my swatches. Okay, so when I go to my swatches panel, which is this, it has been added over here for me. It has been added over here for me, and I can use it any day, anytime. If you want to delete some, you just click on the delete, and it will delete them for you. Okay, so that's it. And now the other thing is we have the hand tool, which is basically for going around the page. So when you just click on it, you can just go around. You also have the zoom tool that you can use to zoom in. When you click on it, it zooms. Right click, it zooms in. Okay, it zooms in, and you can also right click and also zoom out. Right click, zoom, and the zoom out. So you can use control minus and control plus to zoom in and zoom out, zoom in and zoom out. So that's all you need to know with the tools that we use in what we call InDesign. The windows, you also have here the file, and maybe you want to bring in create a new document, bring in a new file, and also you want to place an image or import anything or export it. This is where you use. Also now, let's say this is my document, and when it's selected, I want to change the document. I can come to layout, and maybe if I want to change the margins and columns, I can come here and enable preview, and I can add more columns to it, as you can see. Okay, or I can extend the gutter of the columns, or I can extend the margins for the page over here. So that's where I come to layout, and then I can do what, use the margins, or I can come here and add pages and add more pages and stuff. We also have the object here where we can add effects and fittings and content and other things. We'll be doing it as we go through the course in depth. Now we can also change the units and increments over by right clicking, and we can change it to maybe pixels. You can also right click here on the ruler and also change it to pixels. Okay, so you just right clicking on the ruler and changing it. Okay, x and y axis, and you can change it to inches and other things. So as we go on, we will be changing more things. We have the view, and we can say view to fit page window. So we'll be using more of these things as we go on in the next lesson. Alright, so we want to make some changes to our document. We realize that always when we decide to do something with the control panel, or the character always shows Minion Pro, service on regular, the points it off, and other things that is like default. But we can change it, and how we can do is that, first of all, if you're in any document, just close it and go to your startup menu, and now you have to come to Windows and then come to workspace and choose essentials. Okay, now so this is where we can make the changes. So now you can decide to make this, let's say we want to use any font. Let me say we want to use origin sans. Okay, and I want this to be 17 hours. Maybe I want this to always to be centered. I want to change some things over here. I can do that. I want to change the panel over here, change these things. I can do that. So after that, I'll just click on new and create document. Okay, so now I can create my document. Click on OK. So now if I close this thing, anytime I want to start over again, it will be on the one that I created. So now you can see that's time from origin sans to where that time from the Minion Pro to now what I've set it as my default. Okay, so now thank you very much for joining this